Proline. There was a lot of Proline. There has been a lot of Proline. What are your thoughts on that? Do you think it's good for the industry or bad for the industry?
I'm glad you asked me that question, because I'm going to start with exactly what you were asking me about. You were asking me about Proline.
Yep.
That's the wrong adjective. That's the wrong name. It's not Proline. Okay. What it is 1.4G professional fireworks.
Got it.
Period. And that's an important distinction, because in this industry, over the last, I want to say the first time I saw somebody come out and market it was probably 14, 15 years ago.
Oh, wow.
They came out with a consumer firework, the ones we've always had, wrapped in brown paper, but they just printed Proline on it.
Yep.
Because the idea was, we're going to make people think they got something special here. It was a gimmick.
Okay.
Proline was a term that was created as a marketing tool.
Yeah, the brown wrap special.
The brown wrap special. And you remember the brown label craze that everybody went through. So now what's happened is with people characterizing what we have now, which is 1.4G classed professional fireworks, they're calling it Proline, and people get confused. And I just talked to a customer out in the hallway today, because they were like, hey, what do you think about this Proline stuff? It's been around for a long time. And I'm like, no.
No, it has not.
No, it has not. And when I explained it to them, they're like, you know what, you're right. It is professional fireworks. It's just not 1.3G professional fireworks. So I think what we have to do as an industry is make sure we're making it, making that distinction known, and calling it what it is. Now, all that said, I think it's a great product.
Yeah.
But, calling it Proline, there's a lot of confusion among the fireworks retailers, and they just think it's a gimmick type thing still, like it always had been.
And they can sell it
they can sell it in their store. If you have that stuff in a retail setting, you have a huge problem.
Yes.
You have to keep it in a separate building. You have to keep it records separate. You can't put it in the building you're selling retail in.
Yeah.
Big box retail hardware stores got into this problem. Yeah. And they were selling professional tools out of their buildings. Think Lowe's and Home Depot. And what I mean by professional tools is truly professional tools.
Got it.
Didn't have all these safety guards on them, right? Where you got to push this button and this button with your 3 fingers just to activate the trigger on the saw, which is almost impossible to do.
Yeah.
Well, on the Pro Tools, all of that stuff didn't exist. You just walked up, squeezed the trigger, and the saw was running. Well, they got in big trouble, and what happened was they came in and they said, no, you're selling these in a big box retail store.
Yeah.
Therefore, they have to conform to retail rules. These are professional tools. We get that, but they don't belong here. You can't have them here.
Yeah, there's no distinction between the professional and the actual, what do you call it? Home
passionate hobby pyro.
Yeah.
And so, if anybody's buying it and selling it, what I hope is that they're, looking and saying, hey, John, you walk into my store and you say, hey, you got any of this, Proline? I say, well, I've got 1.4G professional fireworks, and if you're looking for that, yes, I do have those items for sale.
Yeah.
May I see something that denotes your professional criteria?
Yeah.
Are they a certified PGI shooter?
Yeah.
Do they have a state shooter's license? Do they hand you an employee possessor certificate? Meaning, anybody that's in the business knows that, okay, this guy's professional because that's an ATF thing. So make sure we're getting it into the hands of those people.
Of the right people.
And take a copy of that shooter's ID or whatever they've got for their credentials. Put it in your records.
Yeah.
That way, if something happens, you can say, listen, I did this right. If he takes it home and shoots in his backyard, that's great. He's a pro. He knows how to deal with it and probably has the equipment to use it properly. Yeah. But, I think it's a great product. When I was in the bee world, I wish we had these 1.4G.
I don't even know why
fireworks.
you want to buy 1.3 cake and open yourself up to all this stuff and bunker storage and everything else when you got great 1.4 professional fireworks now.
So what is the actual difference in a commercial cake, the consumer cake that you could buy off the rack, and the professional 1.4? Is there more?
It could have instantaneous fusing, could have dual fusing, could have electronic igniter ports built into the fuse, because a lot of that stuff, it's quick match. They want to hit it and it goes.
Done. Yeah.
Consumer fireworks have the little green fuse.
Right.
You light it and it takes a bit. and that's designed for you to be able to get away from it. And the other thing is a lot of things like slices, as we call them.
Yeah.
This stuff, unless you have all of the proper racking equipment,
they're useless to you.
Then you'll set it on the ground and just fall over flat. So that's a lot of it.
Yeah. Okay. And then what about gram weight? I think we can still get more gram weight. Is 1.4 professional 1.4G professional fireworks, is that limited to 1,500? I think it's capped at 1,500.
I want to say it's 1,500. Yeah. But when you look at consumer grade 1.4G fireworks,
well, that's what I'm talking about.
It's 500, depending upon your EX number that you've got.
But 1.4, the professional grade fireworks, are we capped at 1,500 with that?
I'm not sure. I'm not sure what they
because with these compound cakes, I know you're hitting around 1,500.
Yeah.
So that's what I was wondering. But 1.3 is not capped at 1,500.
No, 1.3 is as much as you want.
Exactly. So I think that's a big distinction besides diffusing. Basically.
But it just seems like when you see the demos, those the 1.4 Pro line, whatever we'll call it, those seem to be just hit harder, bigger breaks.
Oh. Well, that's the other thing on the hitting harder. You see, remember the metals battle?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, in 1.4G professional fireworks, again, there's not a limit on how they build that burst charge.
Yes. So
what we refer to in the consumer environment as flash breaking is totally fine in the 1.4 professional fireworks. So they're going to hit harder. Yeah. They're going to fire faster. They're going to fire broader. They got access to a little bit more chemical structures, I think. Certainly you can just put a whole bunch more punch in there because you're not selling a consumer device. You're selling something for professional use only.
My theory on it is, like at the NFA. And I know I've talked to several companies. Obviously, I deal with 20 different of them, every year. They come to NFA, which is really a retail environment buyers here, for the most part. They are all bringing 1.4, this Pro line, what they call series, and they're bringing it in. And what they tell me is they have to bring it because if they don't, it's going to look like they don't have it or they can't make it. And then when one company shoots 1.4 Pro line, we'll just call it Pro line right now, but when they shoot that and then another company comes out and goes bing with a 200 gram and bing with a 500 gram, it's like...
It's a noticeable difference.
It's a noticeable difference. And then so that company then has to do, like we saw last night, another demo of Pro line, just say, we can do this as well. But I really think this is the wrong venue because this is really about retail stores coming to purchase from China, to purchase from companies like ours. If they can't sell it, just like myself, I don't go to too many 1.3 demos in China because it don't show it to me if I can't buy it. Right. If you show me a cake that's overloaded and flash broken, I can't buy it. I don't need to see it because you're only going to tease me.
That's right.
So I really think there's a lot of people here thinking, I'm going to grab some of that, but what are they going to do with it? And this is why it's going to be bad for the industry. This is not going to end well when certain other companies really put the squeeze on us. I really think it's opening up a lot of more legal battles in the future and more money out of the NFA's pocket, more money out of everyone else's pocket.
Yeah,
I'm a little worried about that.
It goes back to the adage, don't let one bad apple spoil the whole bushel.
Yeah.
And that's what we're talking about here because the 1.4G professional market versus the 1.4G consumer market.
Yeah.
That's like Lake Superior and the pond in your backyard.
Exactly.
I mean, it's one is enormous, and the other one, unfortunately, I think a lot of the Chinese think that this 1.4 professional market is that's what everybody wants, and it's not.
But it's no skin off of their back, though.
No, it doesn't. They don't care what you buy.
They don't care where it goes. Okay,
John, they'll sell you 3-inch salutes and ship them to you. They don't care.
They don't care as long as they're making money, and I get that, and that's all great for them. But I think you're educating a bunch of people in this room here that are, and I'm glad they made a few announcements, but that goes in one ear and out the other. You're educating a lot of people here that are like, I'm not going to buy that, Decade of Discord. I'm just going to buy that Reikio or, whatever Pro line.
Yeah, and what they have is, I'm sure you're probably aware, but there was a letter that was sent to the ATF.
Yep.
And some other, pretty DOJ type,
and DOT.
And DOT regarding this, basically saying, hey, these people are doing this and they're doing it the wrong way, and of course, so that ended up in ATF, people going out and making some visits and doing some inspections and some things like this. And, so what's happened now is because this thing is hit so hard and people have abused it. I know.
Of course they will.
They've abused it.
That's our point, yeah.
I'm not saying everybody's doing it.
No.
And I'm sure there's a lot of people who are doing it totally straight up, and that's great. I don't care. That's great. Like I said, when I was a professional fireworks guy, I wished I'd have had this stuff.
I was going to say, I wish I could buy it.
I wish I'd have had it because there were so many times you couldn't use a 3-inch shell at a high school football game, right? But if I'd have had this stuff, it'd been great.
Yeah.
Right. But, it's on the radar of the regulators, and we need to, as the industry, do a very good job, an aggressive job of policing this because, over the years, everybody talks about the smugglers who bring in the overloads and everything like that, Well, this one is labeled, basically. This is labeled, this is overloaded by Consumer Fireworks Standards, so you better darn well make sure you're selling it to the right person.
So now it's like a smuggler's paradise, and that's kind of what I just feel like. I mean, just like we watched, we're not going to mention no names, but like we were at the demo last night, and we just saw basically a pro-line show. I'm like, man, the NFA is going the wrong way. This is supposed to become watch demos one at a time, not 4 at a time, so we can actually see what the product does and we can actually buy it. There's a lot of people here. I mean, we go to China regularly, but there's a lot of people here that don't go to China. So, showing them a bunch of 1.4 Pro line when you own a retail store, I don't see the benefit of it.
No, that's tough. It's but on the same vein, in the NFA's defense, on the same vein, there is a market for it.
Oh, yeah.
And they have members that, want to deal in the product, are totally legit members, and so it's hard to say to that member, well, we're not shooting anything that you can buy. If you're a professional display company and you come here and the only stuff you see is, John, what you and I sell, they're going to be like, well, what am I here for?
Yeah.
I mean,
we've always had both, but it seems like a lot more now.
It seems like there's a bigger focus on it now.
We've always had 1.3 being shot, and a lot of times, quite frankly, I'd leave for those demos. I'd watch a few maybe, but there's nothing.
And the NFA has grown so much.
Yes.
And there's so many more vendors that want to come here and want to shoot demos. I remember when we used to come to the NFA, and if there was 7 in one night,
oh my God, we were exhausted then. Yeah, now
7, now we're 14.
Yeah,
there's 13 tonight.
Yeah, it's so much. It's crazy.
And
and that's getting back to my first thing when we were ending the other one. I just said, we are on a pathway to 2026. We don't want any more bumps in the road. We really need to keep this smooth, and I'm afraid that this is going to be a big bump in the road, and it may come at the very wrong time when we don't need it. And that's my biggest, and that's why I said I hope we don't sabotage ourselves.
There'll be a lot more focus on fireworks that year.
Yeah.
No, I know, and that's what I'm saying. I don't really want to have any bumps in the road that's going to cost our industry any more money that we don't need to do now. We should be gearing forward to making everybody's 250th anniversary happy, memorable one, and I'm talking about the actual kids and husbands and wives and families, and not making any bumps in the road for ourselves that's going to cost us legally and cost us problems that deter people, or deter us from being in business.
Yeah, the one bad apple spoils a whole bushel analogy. I mean, we don't.
Yeah.
When it happened the way it happened, it was a mistake. And when I saw what was happening with it, and you couldn't stop it.
No.
I mean, it was a done deal. But it's like, oh no, we don't need to mingle these waters. We really shouldn't do this.
Uh-oh.
And they did, and now we're having to deal with this problem.
And how many people come in the store now? Oh, do you have a professional, the Pro Line series? No. Do you have any? We do, but I said, do you have any? Certificates, anything? What's your qualifications? Well, I don't have any. Well, and then they go to the next store.
Yeah.
They just walk out. And they're going to find someone. They're going to find someone out there that'll do it. And then it's just the one bad apple thing.
That's right. Yeah. Industry retailers need to be very diligent. That's basically pretty much, John, that's the last line of defense.
I know.
Because there's nobody in China that doesn't want to ship it. Again, they'll ship you anything, right? So they just want to sell it and talk it up and how wonderful it is. And
I just hope it doesn't. I don't think it's going to end well. I just hope it doesn't really screw us up, anymore. And it's already been a lot of problems. And, how much money the NFA spent over the years with the medals and everything else. And, so I don't want to. I don't want to open us up to more litigation over something that we didn't really want or create. And
correct.
So, but anyways,
let me ask you one more question. We're here at NFA Expo 2024 in Erie, Pennsylvania. This expo seems to be much more well attended than a lot of them in the past. Is that am I saying correctly?
This one has now hit where we were in Branson in 2019.
All right, so
pre-COVID, all that nonsense.
Right.
We're back.
What do you attribute that to 2026 coming up, or what would you attribute it to?
I attribute it to the NFA keeping true to its mission, staying alive through the hard times, and support of their members.
Yeah.
That's really what I think it is. It's good to see it back. It's good to see the people here. We have these seminars. We have these educational seminars. We can educate.
Yeah, we were listening to one earlier
things.
today. Yeah.
Things like these fireworks issues that we're talking about with this professional grade stuff.
And this is one of the reasons why we started the podcast. Just to kind of educate people in the fireworks industry, talk about fireworks news, keep fireworks alive, obviously, and stuff. But this is a great segment. That's why we love having you on. That's why we love having this podcast, to educate different people and get people more interested.
Yep.
And, we're quick note, we're talking to, we got to remember his name. I can't think of his name.
Yeah.
He started a competition in the UK and England for fireworks.
The British Fireworks Championships.
And it's really, it's really quite interesting. We're talking to him. And on a little side note, which I picked up from him, is they have these. He's not the judge. He's the whole.
He's the organizer of the event.
The whole.
They get 200,000 people in 2 days to watch this event in a little town in England.
No kidding.
Yeah, and they had a controversy this year. The winning team, the team that won, they got disqualified some points because they had and he wouldn't tell us what it was. He was very secretive about it. He wouldn't tell us, but they said it was a launching issue, and they deducted points, and because they deducted points, the team that actually came in second won. So there was some drama, so we called him to get the lowdown. That was on our last episode. And he told us all about it, and then John picked up on this.
It was really pretty cool. So they basically have their judges judging the fireworks, and I thought what was interesting is they have now children are now the judges for their own little trophy.
They have a children's award, so they have a bunch of kids watch, because kids are more impressed by wow factor, like this and that, right? They're not going to be looking at it as experts
from a choreographic.
So there was a whole different award from the children as well. So you can win the kids award, or you can win a regular award.
And I thought that was really interesting. Once again, getting more of the kids involved, and even when we do these demos here at NFA. If we had children, whatever, it'd be kind of cool to get them involved, because I'm a big member of the PGI as well, and I noticed at the PGI this year, these kids are running around not even looking in the sky. And when we were kids going to a fireworks show, we're like, and it was one at a time, we're like, oh wow, these kids are not even looking in the sky. There's beautiful drones, there's beautiful things going up. They're running around the parking lot, they're not even looking in the sky. And I said, boy, we need to really get these young people. Maybe this is a way to get them in there, so they start judging it, so they're actually paying attention to these things, and maybe they get some type of reward themselves for getting on the board of judges or something, but just kind of get the younger generation more involved in fireworks, because they do grade differently than an individual, an adult. So I thought it was kind of a cool thing they did in England for that.
I think that's kind of a neat idea to have that kids award.
Because they do look at it
differently.
We look at, that didn't break well. That's not symmetrical. They don't know nothing about that. They just see.
I like this one. It had a lot of blue.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I like that one. Yeah, right.
Blue's my favorite color.
Just like when they tell me to pick the Super Bowl team, I'm like, I like the I like the yellow and black. They look like nice guys.
John just wants to know which one he can bet on. Yeah.
They look like nice guys. I'll bet on them.
His name was Jim Winship, and he's the organizer of the British Fireworks Championships. So. And we talked to episode 148 of our podcast. We talked to him.
Very interesting man
about it. And then that was the one thing John picked up on. I was shocked that it's a small little town and they get 100,000 people a night. And I thought it was like, I asked him, is it part of a bigger convention or a concert? And he's like, no, they just come to watch fireworks. I'm like, that's
sounds like Springfield, Ohio, right now.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
If you've seen the news lately.
There you go.
I want to just ask Mark here for $100, $100. Raise your paddle.
Steve,
he outbid me on it. Don't give him a T-shirt. Take them T-shirts back. Take them. Yeah, get them T-shirts.
No, they can't have that.
Yeah. There you go.
Take them back.
Steve,
you're getting robbed.
You always have a quote for us. You got one this year for us?
Oh, he's already
came prepared. Yes,
I did because as we're getting into the the 250th anniversary.
We can never remember the name of that.
It's the I've heard it called so many things.
Right.
Semi-quincentennial is I think might be the right one. I've heard semi-sesquiquincentennial, and I'm like, God, I hope it's not that one. That's worse than that sounds like a Disney word.
Say that 5 times.
Yeah, we just thought it sounded Spanish.
I'd hate to spell it. That's for sure. But and I think this will go on with what this event is about, and that is coming together, focusing on things. It's an election year. I like the fact that there's more and more pyros here now. That it's really grown.
Yeah,
we can communicate our messaging. We can solidify together, and so here's my quote for you.
All right.
One flag, one land, one heart, one hand, one nation, evermore. Oliver Wendell Holmes.
There you go.
Wow.
A lot of people should take that in the heart these days.
It's awesome.
It's got a lot of meanings. I was like, you know what? That one's perfect.
Ed is the vice president.
I talked to AJ last night at the bar. It was a good thing. Good thing we're really taping that. It was be a little slurred, but anyways.
Ed, we talked to Steve about ProLine, and he was very quick to correct us and said it's not ProLine, it's. What did he call it?
Professional use only product.
Yeah, 1.4G professional use only product.
Right. Correct.
Which I did appreciate the announcements of that during the show last night, too, as well, because I think it's clear to let people know that.
Well, and we had the public there, so we thought it was especially important last night to announce that.
And I think John and I both agreed that, because it does seem more prevalent these last couple of years, that it could be like a Pandora's box. It could get a lot of people in trouble if they don't know what it is. We just wanted to get your thoughts on it and what you think.
Yeah, it's an unfortunate byproduct of some things that happened a few years back in China. They believe they had an accident over there, and some people lost their jobs. New people were brought in, and they just refused to recognize the DOT designation of UN 0431. Which is what that stuff all used to come in under, and in a scramble to find a workaround so that we could still get that product over here for the people that were using it. A new designation was created under UN 0336, which in this industry forever was generally understood to be consumer legal fireworks. So they created this UN 0336 for professional use only. And it created a fair amount of confusion, and we are now trying to navigate through how to handle that and stop it from being detrimental to the consumer side of the industry.
Yeah, I think, I was sitting in the stands last night and a couple of nights before, and you see more and more of it. And then I talk to a lot of, obviously I deal with a lot of companies, so I talk to everybody. And, everyone's like, well, we didn't really want to bring the ProLine, but if we don't bring ProLine, now we look like, we're this little company going ding, 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 and everyone else bringing this ProLine. So some of the companies all jumped in on it.
There's a notable difference when you're shooting that stuff.
Yeah,
absolutely.
So now we got more companies bringing in ProLine, and I said, this is not really what this NFA is really focused in the retail industry.
Now we've seen that coming, and one of the things we did this year to try and get ahead of that is tonight should be, I believe tonight is all consumer legal fireworks at the demos tonight. So we tried to create that separation between the two categories.
And then, because some of the ones, then we had a shooting 4 cakes at a time.
Right,
and it was like,
right.
It's just it's changed, and I mean, I'm not saying it's for the bad or for the worse. It's just that for me coming to the NFA, I want to see a demo one at a time, because I mean, I go to China, of course, twice a year, so for me it's not the biggest a deal. But there's a lot of people who don't, and I think you want to don't show me something I can't legally sell.
Right. And for the Chinese, I think it's hard for them to understand too, because fireworks in the United States are a global anomaly. John, you're a well-traveled guy. That this high shot count 30 millimeter flash broken product is consumer product in Europe, South Africa, the domestic market in China. So 2-inch ball shell cakes, reloadable artillery, the 2-inch balls on top of stick rockets. You don't see that stuff in the rest of the world. So fireworks in the U.S., they really are a global anomaly.
And I just hope, we got a lot of positive stuff coming on. We got a Saturday 4th of July coming in 2026. We got 250 years. We got a lot of good stuff coming. I would hate to see this road we're going down with the 1.4. We'll just call it 1.4 Pro line for now. But would hate to see that going on to kind of put a couple bumps in those roads and deter and cost the NFA money, cost any one of us money.
Right. You don't want to bring undue focus on the people who are doing it legitimately.
We had a lot of problem with the metals before, and it costs us a lot of money to get that, and now I know, for a fact there's some, some pretty big, powerful companies out there that don't want to see this, and I just don't want to see it cost us any more money or the consumer any more money is that way.
It has certainly been the subject of many discussions and meetings that we've been a part of.
Oh, yeah.
Good. So you guys are on top of it.
Several years, actually. This started this goes back at least 5 years when this all started.
Yeah, actually. But now this extent.
Now we're seeing the consequences of it, yes.
And following up on that, it seems like this year it's a great expo. There's so many booths. It's busting out all over the corridors, and everything seems to be way more.
This reminds me
of
the Canton Fair when you see the hallways lined up of booths. And then you go to like a convention in the United States, and you see half of the convention center being used because that's how they're shrinking.
Right.
And this is growing.
It appears NFA is doing good. So why don't you tell us about that?
Yeah, I hope everybody's having a great time here. As far as the members, the vendors, the attendees, it takes a lot of work behind the scenes to make it happen. This convention center has been absolutely amazing to work with.
Yeah.
So we want to give kudos out to the Bayfront Convention Center here. Their team has been fantastic for us. They've made our job a lot easier. We are over 1,000 registered attendees here at this convention.
That's high.
Yep. We're growing. Things are going in a great direction. We're
look at the money we raised today at that auction. I couldn't even bid.
Yeah.
You were going up $1 at a time.
I had to go up $1 at a time.
He says he couldn't even have bid. Here, Ron, what do you think would have happened if I could have arranged to have a boat pull up outside the windows out there and have the auctioneer announce that as an auction item? Yeah. You think he'd have been bidding?
It's a tank of gas, for God's sake.
Bid. A tank of gas? That's like not even 5 gallons.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. He didn't want to go to $200 on some item.
I couldn't see going $4,000 for that big ball of paper that I'm going to have made in China now in October.
Right. Yeah, we more than doubled our auction proceeds from last year. So that's just absolutely amazing.
I'm glad we got Hale to stand up and throw some of his money here for these lanyards. It cost him a lot more last year. I mean, it cost him a lot more this year. It's going to cost him than it did last year, I should say.
Right.
I love to see that man spend money. That's great.
Well, you know what? I guess that's it. Ed, we appreciate you talking to us. Thanks again. We're glad the NFA is doing good, and maybe few months.
One quick question I got: how many booths did we have? Registered booths?
204 was the maximum amount we could put in here. And also another little quick fact is that the trade show at the NFA never in history has sold out of booth space.
Yes.
This year we sold out in just under 2 days.
So 204 booths. Total maximum, and they're all sold out. There were more people like Legend actually wanted to come and set up, but they couldn't.
Right.
And then over 1,000 registered attendees. Is that the top attendance we've had?
The only time we got close to this was back just before I got on the board, and I'm in my third term now, was Branson. Branson was a very well
That's what Steve
attended
said.
Convention. We had a lot of attendees, but the trade show was nowhere near
as big as this. No,
yeah.
This is the biggest I've seen it.
Wow.
And it's really awesome. So it's a good thing to see. Now, next year, we're certain we're going to Arkansas.
We are headed to Rogers, Arkansas. The contract has been signed, from what I understand.
Okay. Yeah. And then the following year, I thought we were coming back here, but then someone said we're going back to Branson, or maybe too early to tell.
Well, don't quote me on it, but I think the following year we might be going back to Fort Wayne.
Oh, okay.
Fort Wayne was a really good location for us. That is a considerably larger convention center as far as the main hall square footage.
Yeah.
So we've definitely got some room to grow in Fort Wayne. And I thought that was we weren't sure how that shoot site was going to work out, but a lot of people kind of liked the intimate feel.
I think
of the car museum.
Yeah,
there.
I loved it. I loved it,
and they treated us pretty good out there as well. So,
I think we get pretty good response from everyone. I think everyone has been good,
and in a pretty central location too. Also,
that's not bad for us.
I do love Lake Erie though. I take my afternoon.
Drooling over the boats out there.
I take my afternoon walk around the marina, have my my drink at JR's, and it's the nicest place to go and get away from the pyros. And what happens? All of a sudden, a group of pyros comes in there, right in the middle of my relaxing afternoon.
And you say you're not a narcissist; you just think they want to be with you.
So you say the word pyros. Do you think, outside of our industry, is that a negative word, or do you think the general public confuses pyros like they think we're arsonists or something?
No.
That was a question that was proposed to me by someone else that I was chatting with.
I don't think so.
You know what? I mean, it's not very widely used for fireworks guys. I mean, because I have Google search for the podcast, and we'll get news stories, and it pops up when anything says fireworks or pyro, and I very seldom get it. And when it does say pyro, it's usually some company with pyro, or like a fire thing, or it's an arsonist or whatever. There's never really pyro.
I think it was somebody said they got stopped on the street. They had pyros on their shirt, and somebody asked, "What's pyros? You guys like fire starters or something like that?" Or so it's kind of interesting to hear the general public's perception sometimes of what we take for granted and our own jargon.
I always say, so many pyros, so little time. No,
there you go. Ed, thanks a lot for all this, for all your help. And
sorry that we had to drag you away. We know you're busy,
here.
But appreciate you coming.
Thanks again.
Thank you very much.
Always a good time sitting down chatting with you guys. Thank you.
Talk to you soon.
Thank you. Yeah.
Bye.
Take care.